Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Um, I decided to do another bit of news, I suppose, because I was talking with my friend earlier, and he told me that he saw that Silent Hill series getting soft reboot with two new games. Report says, and I actually found this to be really interesting. Um, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm a little nervous because okay, Silent Hill isn't what it used to be. Even like the last couple games from like way back in the day. Like Silent Hill 4 even isn't as good as like Silent Hill 1 or 2. And that being the case, the only Silent Hill game that I was really okay, the last time I thought about Silent Hill and got excited was when Silent Hills was supposed to be coming out with Hideo Kojima. Because I was like, if he made a horror game, it would probably be pretty good because the early Metal Gear Solid games have some aspects of that sort of thing. Not that I think that Kojima is some infallible, messiah when it comes to video game development, but I think he's all right. Not my favorite. But let's go ahead and give this a read real quick. Two new Silent Hill games are in the works, according to a new report from a reliable leaker via Eurogamer. Twitter user Aesthetic Gamer was the first to drop the new report. Aesthetic Gamer is known for reliably leaking previous Capcom titles, although Silent Hill was developed and published by Konami, and divulged some details about the supposed two new Silent Hill games, according to Aesthetic Gamer. One will be a soft reboot of the franchise, while the other will be an episodic experience similar to Telltale games or Until Dawn. Now, it kind of reminds me of the light novel, not light novel, the visual novel, playable novel from forever ago, like on DS or something like that. I think. Also, bear with me. I don't use ad blocker, even though I should. I don't know. Um, Here's what makes me a little nervous, right? Uh, the soft reboot itself isn't what makes me nervous. It's the fact that Konami hasn't made a game in a while, and the last game that I guess you could say they made was Metal Gear Survive, and that was an absolute bastardization of the franchise that came before. So the precedent here isn't exactly suggesting that what we're going to get is a good game, but what can we really hope for? Now, what's really got me pressed, I suppose, the other will be an episodic experience similar to Telltale games or Until Dawn. Now, why that makes me nervous is there's a reason Telltale games went under, right? They were pumping out too many games. The games are all the same thing, basically. They look the same. They had the same sort of story progression. Choices never really felt that impactful. You know, characters saying, well, they'll remember that. Again, never really feels like it matters all that much in the long run. And, Until Dawn was kind of a one and done thing. You can count Man of Medan if you want, but, even that died on arrival. I would assume that you can go ahead and put the Quantum Dream games in there, Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, Detroit Become Human, Fahrenheit. Those games are also not received super well. Like, best case scenario, people enjoy the stories, but the gameplay has never really been there when it comes to these story-based choice games. And I've talked about it before in the past. I don't think that video's up anymore. But I actually kind of want to keep reading. They also said that they guess one or more of the games will may be revealed this year. It's possible. Gamescom later this year, E3 later this year, all sorts of things. There's a lot of chances for something to. At the same time, Konami could just reveal something whenever they want. But here's what I want to say. This is kind of indicative of the entire business model at Konami because we all know that they're kind of caught up with their pachinko game sort of thing, pachinko machines. But they said a while back, well, they haven't outright said, but there's been a lot of allusion to a Metal Gear Solid 6. And of course, since Konami has never expressed any interest in repairing their bridges with Kojima, this would be a strictly Konami developed and published game with no input, no help, no anything from Hideo Kojima. That could be a good thing. or that could be a horrible thing. And here's what I mean by that, right? Hideo Kojima is undoubtedly the reason that Metal Gear is so well known the way that it is. If it weren't for his brand of creativity, his take on things, the series probably just wouldn't have taken off the way that it did. But personally, I only like a couple of them. I only like the first three. Now that being said, I haven't played Peace Walker, but I don't like Guns of the Patriots. I don't like Phantom Pain, and I don't like Ground Zeroes. Well, Toxic, Ground Zeroes doesn't count as a tech demo. Yeah, and that's a problem. It's a $60 game. It's called Metal Gear Solid. It counts as a Metal Gear Solid game. And it's honestly just a waste of time. I think the last couple games are just really not very good. And everything wrong with 4 is on Hideo. A lot of what's wrong with 5 is still on Hideo. I know that the game didn't get finished because of the divorce between Kojima and Konami, and a lot of the stuff that he wanted to do got cut out. But I mean, I've looked into some of the stuff that they wanted to add. Like, there's like a missing 40 hours of stuff or whatever. Hold on. Uh, duh, 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 duh. Point is, there were multiple hours of content that got cut out, and that's obvious. But that being the case, what I've looked at still isn't something that like fills me with hope. And the first like 20 hours of the game, which is all Hideo, still isn't very good or very enjoyable, very well written, any of that stuff. Like you can definitely see what is still Kojima, and I don't like it. No, that's enough of me ripping on these games. Death Stranding is not something that I can get into. A lot of times when you have Hideo Kojima unchecked, you get something that's just not that great. But this does not guarantee that Metal Gear Solid 6 would be something that would just blow everybody's minds. But there's a chance. There's a very small chance that they could still stick the landing with this. If they make a Metal Gear Solid 6, it could still work. And I think that would be pretty cool. Um, I would actually really, I mean, like we could speculate, right? Like where in the timeline would this take place? Between 5 and 3. I mean, between 3 and 5. I'm stupid. Yeah, between 3 and 5. Between 2 and 4. Um, between 1 and 2. After 4. Which Snake would you be playing as? Venom, Naked, Solid. There's a lot to wonder about. But let's say hypothetically, Konami comes out with these 3 games, these 2 Silent Hill games, this 1 Metal Gear game, and they knock it out of the park with all 3 games. They would be back in business, right? Like we would have Konami operating it at full capacity, and that's just like, uh, uh, let's look up Konami biggest franchises, right? Gradius, Parodius, Momotaro, Bomberman, Silent Scope, Zone of the Enders, Rocket Knight, Contra, Castlevania. If they were to come back with a new Castlevania and like a new Contra, new Bomberman, which I don't know if Super Bomberman R is made by them or not, or if it's just published. Like, say that they came back with those 2 franchises, maybe Bomberman if you want, and they continued a hot streak, right? I think it's possible that Konami could have a Capcom-esque redemption or renaissance, because think about Capcom, right? From like 2004 to 2015, they were not taken very seriously. Now, there's some exceptions in there. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Devil May Cry 3, some people might say DMC 4 Special Edition, Street Fighter 4. There's a lot of games sprinkled throughout that are generally enjoyed, but for the most part, they pretty much tanked all their biggest franchises. Street Fighter ended up dying. Devil May Cry died. Resident Evil died. Monster Hunter was still not really catching on all that well. Um, hold on. What else do they do? I can't spell. Uh, Mega Mega Man Mega died. Dead Rising. I don't really know too much about how Ace Attorney was doing. Final Fight hasn't been heard from in a while. Um, what was I gonna say? Lost Planet died off. There's just a lot of stuff going on at Capcom that was just like they're just really not knocking it out of the park like they could, right? But I mean, if you look at the last couple of years, Monster Hunter World, Devil May Cry 5, Resident Evil 7 and 2, they've redeemed themselves. You know, they brought it home. They've redeemed themselves. Mega Man 11. Uh, I really hope Dino Crisis gets like a remake or something like that. But from what I've heard, Street Fighter 5 has gotten better. I hated it when I played it very recently, but the general consensus seems to be that it's okay now. So I think the future could be very bright for Konami if this is all true. If every bit of what I'm talking about here is true. Oh, Kobe. But if every bit of what I'm talking about is true, and there are two new what are they called? Silent Hill games, and they're good, and there's a new Metal Gear Solid, and it's good. I really do think that there's a chance that we'll get the Konami back that we all know and love, and that would be great. Tell me what you think of all this in the comments. I read them all, so I'll definitely see it. But apart from that, that's really it. So I'll see you soon.